Hi Tribe, I want to talk about the placenta today. We shouldn't throw away our placentas. There's so many things that we can do with the placenta, and we're not really taking advantage of it because we're unaware of the many possibilities. So the placenta when you become pregnant, your body creates an entire new organ. The placenta is an entire organ that is created by your body. That in itself is just amazing. Baby protects your baby from the toxins that we put into our bodies, and we put a lot of toxins in our bodies, many times unknowingly. But the placenta protects the baby, nourishes the baby, makes sure that the baby has all the nutrients that it needs. So it should be honored. It should be honored, and some cultures actually consider the placenta the first mother of the child. So just a few ideas. Nowadays, a lot of women are encapsulating their placentas. So what that means is they hire a company to freeze dry their placentas and put it in little capsules. And you can do a couple of things with these capsules. Number one, you can take them, you can consume them, and it'll be like you taking a little small pill. Or you can keep them. For years. They have no shelf life, which means that they don't expire. So you can keep it up until the time when you go into menopause. And because the placenta is so filled with your hormones that at the time when you were young, you take it during menopause, and it actually helps to alleviate a lot of menopausal symptoms that are common in this society. Another thing to do with the placenta is bury it. Take it to a sacred location, or maybe even just in your backyard next to your favorite tree, and say prayers over it. Be grateful for it. Say thank you to the placenta and bury it with some prayers. Another way, and this is actually becoming more common in home births, and this is actually what I did with two of my placentas. You can make placenta smoothies. I know that for some people that sounds gross, and for those people, if it sounds gross, just don't do it. It's good for some people and it's not good for other people. But what my midwives did is they would take small, maybe about the size of a quarter placenta. They would cut up the placenta in size of a quarter, maybe about half an inch to an inch thick, and they would separate them in little Ziploc bags. And this happened immediately after the birth. Immediately after the birth, after we decided to cut the cord, we would freeze the placenta in these little bite-sized portions, and I would make smoothies with them. I would put strawberries, raspberries, blueberries. The placenta was cleaned very well with just water, just distilled water. Nothing else is used to clean it. And what I found for myself was that with my first home birth, I did not consume my placenta. I actually buried it and did a little ritual with prayers. The second home birth, I did consume it in smoothies, and what I found was my bleeding wasn't as heavy immediately after the birth when I would do the placenta smoothies. And what else? I noticed that my milk came in a lot faster. That was probably the thing that I noticed the most, was that usually the full milk comes in after like 2, 3, 4 days, 5 days even for some women, but mine came maybe like the first or second day, and usually mine came in like later, like maybe day 3 or 4. So that's the thing that I noticed immediately. I felt like every time that I drank the placenta smoothie, I felt almost high, like a very pleasurable feeling in my body. I felt my emotions kind of balance out. I didn't have as much postpartum blues. I also felt kind of like a deeper connection with the baby. I think that might have just been something personal I was going through. But what else? So If you're going to have a hospital birth, these are just some suggestions if you do want to keep your placenta. You have to let them know ahead of time, and let your doctor know ahead of time, let the nurses know ahead of time, but you have to like constantly bug them about it. You have to let them know, hey, don't forget that I'm going to keep my placenta. You have to tell them at least like 10 times so that they actually take you seriously, and then they expedite it so that you don't go home without your placenta. I've noticed working as an OB nurse in postpartum and nursery and in labor and delivery that sometimes they make it very difficult to take your placenta home because they say it's a biohazard, because it's a blood product. So they have their policies and whatever that they have to follow in the hospitals. So sometimes they make it difficult. So you have to be very persistent. Talk to your doctor. Keep reminding the nurses as the nurses do their shift change. Remind them. I would say 99% of the placentas in the hospital are being disposed of. This is just my own personal theory, but what I really think is happening with these placentas is I think that they're selling them. There's many cultures who use placenta for a lot of things. Traditional Chinese medicine, they use it for so many things. You can look it up, you can Google that, but one capsule, one placenta capsule, it costs about $300. So you can imagine, this is just my suspicion, that I think the hospitals are selling them and making a hell of a lot of money off of these placentas. You can use it to make makeup and a whole bunch of other things. But I just wanted to mention that because a lot of women just don't really know. It's not something that's talked about. We need to talk about this organ, and we need to realize that there's so many benefits. There's hundreds of YouTube videos on what other women did, so just inform yourself, especially if you're going to have a hospital birth. But if you're going to have like a birth in a birthing center or at home, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to keep your placenta. So please comment, I want to know you guys' experience with this. All right, peace.